Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Dr. Unathi, your host here. I need to apologize for some reason. Our streaming just played us this morning, and I don't know what happened there. There was squeaky sounds, so it happens sometimes. My apologies. Today, I'm bringing back our guest. Last week, if you were not here with us, we had Miss Zoliswa Magwenchu. She is a social worker. She holds a degree in social work, honors in psychology, and currently studying masters in child protection. She's actually one of the supervisors in one of the NGOs in social work in Pretoria, South Africa. Welcome, welcome, Zoe.
Hello, Unathi.
Thank you
for
so much
having me.
for joining us. Okay, so today our topic is continuation basically from last week. If you were not here last week, check our previous talk. We were talking about parental alienation syndrome. Ms. Zoliswa took it, just dissected the topic. Today she's coming back wanting to tell us more about parenting in the 21st century. 21st century, apparently, parenting has changed. So, Zoe, without wasting time, do you want to take us through why are we parenting differently in 2021? What has changed?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Unathi. I'm going to start by defining parenting.
Yes.
I think that's the right place to start. What is parenting? Parenting is the act of raising a child.
Yes.
It is about providing an environment that will allow the physical development, the social development of the child, the intellectual development, and the emotional development of the child.
Yes.
I think it is important to capture that because many a times people think that because they give birth, then they are doing the parenting. Parenting in the 21st century,
Yes.
it has to be intentional.
Yes.
In the 21st century, in 2021, we have to do parenting that is intentional. We have to be intentional about our parenting.
Yes.
The reason why I am talking about intentional is because we are faced with a lot of challenges in 2021.
Yes.
There are a lot of challenges that are facing parents. Our children are exposed, just as adults are exposed to social media, to a lot of information.
Yes.
They are exposed to substances, habit-forming substances. There's a variety of them nowadays, and accessibility has improved on those substances.
Yes.
There are also challenges with making a living. The economy, in different countries is challenging.
Yes.
Parents are having difficulty providing for the basic needs of their children. Now, that means that parents have to be equipped, they have to be aware of what to do in order to provide for the needs of their children in the best way they can under the circumstances that they find themselves in.
Yes. Yes.
When we talk about parenting, I don't know if you want to come in.
You know what? Actually, immediately you said so. I was just thinking about the types of parenting, though, because we're showing up to parenting the way we were raised a lot of times. So I like the word you used, intention, because to be honest, some of the things that were done in 1960 are not applicable to children today. I would like you to take us through what has changed in parenting and also how do we tap into this new parenting, because the reality is we love what our parents did, but there's few things that will not work.
There's a lot that has changed from how we were raised, for instance, us that we are talking here now, and the children that we have today. In the olden days, when we were growing up, we did not have rights. That is the starting point.
Yes.
And our parents were authoritarian in style, in their parenting style. They were very strict, and they were all for the punitive measures.
Yes.
They were all about good behavior, and there was no warmth or responsiveness. Now that has to change because most countries are signatories to these treaties that are making it compulsory for the rights of the children to be upheld.
Yes. Yes.
Which means that now, even here in South Africa, you cannot spank a child because
Yes.
it is illegal. Now, transitioning from being used to using corporal punishment and spanking at home to using other forms of discipline, it is a challenge.
Yes.
Because when you do your parenting, you usually cut from the template that you got from your parents. Yes. How you were raised. You are likely to use the same methods that succeeded with you, with raising you. You are likely to use them with your children. Now that poses a challenge now because we find ourselves as parents in a situation where we cannot do parenting the way it was done to us.
Yes.
That is a big challenge.
It's a big challenge.
And that creates this challenge in parenting. In fact, it makes parenting as a whole very difficult, and very challenging, because now we have to look for different ways of parenting. We have to learn and unlearn the old ways of parenting that we have. It is not easy to move from spanking, to other forms of discipline. Now, it means that parents need to be empowered with skills on how to discipline without having to use the spanking, for instance.
Yes, yes, yes. You know what?
That is what has changed.
Yes, yes. And someone here might argue and say, it worked. Why would it not work today? I'm going to spank my child. It worked on me. But then now the problem with the working on me, I've seen the jails have not stopped going up with children with antisocial behaviors. And then if now we say whatever was done on us worked, why things have not changed in the society? That's a question I would want to ask people that are watching here. Why then, if we are saying whatever happened to us, it worked, why are the jails, the numbers are still going up if that approach? Because a lot of people that I've seen in jail, there's a lot of parental abuse that happened, or either whoever was a caregiver in their childhood. Of course, there's many factors that contribute to that. So Zoe, you're telling us we need equipment. What equipment? What are you going to help us with? Because truly, a lot of us were raised authoritarian, like you said. What are the other ways to look at it? How do we raise children that would be empowered intellectually, socially?
I'm just going to go through. I'm just going to go through a few aspects of parenting that I think most parents could look and maybe adopt, because parenting is an individual thing. Also, children are not the same. So what works with one child might not work with the other child, which makes parenting again a challenge, because you always have to be on your toes as a parent, trying to find alternatives in terms of discipline. I'm going to talk briefly about the models. I won't go deep. I just want each parent to look at themselves and see which model are they following, or style of parenting are they following, because it also has an impact on how the parenting is done. It depends on how you do things. There are two elements to any style of parenting. That is responsiveness and demandingness. Responsiveness is being warm and emotional towards the child. And demandingness is all being about behavior control, and roles and following, all the rules to be a better member in the society. Now we have the authoritarian parent that I spoke about earlier, which is focused more on demandingness. That is getting things done and being strict, rules, following rules, behaving like a person is expected to behave. We have the authoritative parent. The authoritative parent is the one that has both warmth and responsiveness, which is very useful because it makes the child to be grounded. The child gets the warmth and the cuddling and the love and the emotional comfort that they need. And they also get a direction as to how they should go in terms of the rules and behavior. So they are given a chance to make choices and make those mistakes, and they are guided through the process. Now we have permissive parents. Permissive parents are the ones that are lovey-dovey, that allow the children to do whatever that they want to do, but they are very responsive. So they are all about, emotions, being warm and understanding, but there are no boundaries. There's no teaching about structure and behavior and what is expected and what is acceptable and what is not acceptable to a child. Then we have the neglectful parent. The neglectful parent is the one that does not have any of the two, and it is not right. If any of the parents that are listening are doing that, then they need to stop doing it, because neglectful parents will let the child walk up and down. They will let the child do whatever they please, and they will not care for them. They will not make sure that the child is emotionally growing and developing emotionally. So that is also not right. Now I'm going to move from these models, because that is what guides us.
Before you move, Zoe, I want to actually comment mostly on the last parenting style. We tend to see this a lot in our families, like in Africa. I'll speak as an African. Lots of children are raised by their grandparents, and grandparents have a big role in our children's lives. You said it last week on your talk, but there tends to be a pattern where young women, or women in general, they give birth to this child and then they take off to Johannesburg or to the major cities. There is no plan to come back and get their child. And we understand that life has changed, like you said, in the 21st century. Life is tough economically. People are moving now from the villages, they're moving to the city. But I see this pattern a lot, where parents, they will move and they are gone. And the way they say they are not neglecting their children, they send money to the grandparents. There is no attachment to their children. Their children are not used to them. Some children don't even call you mama or daddy, because you are not there physically and emotionally. All you do is supporting this child financially, which is sad, because as we all know, the basic needs, like Zoe was saying, is all emotional. Of course, we have to nurture all these things, emotional, of course, physically. So I would like us to pay attention to what she's just said, because sometimes you might think that, oh, okay, I'm authoritarian, but are you there for your child physically? You're right. I mean, there's situations where you could be temporarily absent to your child's life, but we need to have arrangement. You go on, Zoe, or you can comment on what I just said.
I can say that it is a challenge that faces many parents, be it mothers or fathers. The issue of having to leave a child behind and make a living. Now it means that whilst that is being done, there are other measures that need to be in place just to make sure that the relationship, is built and remains strong. That the attachment, it continues to grow and develop, because we cannot run away from the fact that people have to go and look for work. Yes. and feed their children. And sometimes there is not enough support system where they are working for them to bring the child with. In some lines of work, parents are expected to work night duty, which goes through every night, which means that the person would not have anyone to leave the child with. Yes. So it forces them to leave those children behind. But whilst doing that, they need to be intentional again about their parenting. Yes. Instead of only sending money, there has to be a plan as to when are they meeting. Is it gonna be quarterly, depending on the distance and the financial repercussions of that? Is it going to be quarterly? Is it going to be once in 6 months? Is it going to be annually? In the meantime, what is going to happen? Is there going to be an arrangement in terms of keeping the communication going and keeping the relationship, even though it is not a physical contact, but that the telephonic contact, the WhatsApp videos, the Facebook videos, whatever, just to keep the relationship going, so that the child does not feel deserted, the child does not feel unloved by the parent. So we have to always be intentional about the parenting. I'm going to repeat this intentional right through, because I think it is the basis of how we need to do our parenting. Yes. When you are being intentional, it means that you look at everything that you do. You need to have a plan of how you are going to do things. There are things that we cannot control, but those that we can control, we need to make sure that we have a proper plan.
Love it.
Now, I'm going to move on, touch a little on the issue of rules and discipline. Yes. Because it's a basis of parenting. Now, when you are parenting, you need to have rules. Rules are very important in every household, because they give a child structure. Rules give boundaries. So many a times parents will only talk about the rules when a child has done something wrong, which is not right. Rules must be laid down and articulated to children before. They need to be laid out clearly with consequences. That is very important. Yes. Because you cannot give a rule without a consequence for breaking the rule. Yes. Now, parents need to write down or do whatever, all the rules, make sure that they give the rules to the children, so that a child knows that after playing with your toys, you have to pack the toys. Yes. That is the rule. Yes. We do not use certain language in the household. Yes. That is the rule. You understand? Yes. What is going to happen when someone uses a wrong word or language in the household? That must be known prior. It is not fair to only come later to say, when a child has done something, why are you using that word? Why are you saying that? You don't say that. You understand? You need to tell the child earlier that these are the rules. They must be clear. That is part of being intentional. Now, when it comes to discipline, discipline will be linked to the rules. Yes. You have to state that if you don't return the toys, you are not going to play with the toys tomorrow, because you did not pack the toys. So they need to know that. Now, the challenge with disciplining children is the fact that it makes you, no parent wants to be seen as a bad parent. We want to be loved by our children. Now, when you are disciplining, you are likely to be unloved at some point. Yes. Because you have to take away that toy. You have to take away that phone. You have to ground a person. You have to tell a person that you are not going to watch that program. There's not going to be TV for you or play games for the whole week because you did ABC and C. Now, if they know
Comment
and they
on
were
the
involved.
timing. Just to comment on the timing, Zoe, you just mentioned for the week, and I think maybe you used it as an example. I understand that when it comes to that timing, we need to also be intentional and also be time appropriate for age group and also the time frame of this discipline. Because sometimes as parents, we fall into disciplining for too long. Probably disciplining or maybe punishing. I don't even want to use the word punishing too long. It has to be appropriate. Saying to a child, you did not pack away your toys, so you're not going to play for a week. It could be a little bit long for that child. And that's when resentment is born, I mean, towards you. Do you want to comment also on that? The timing and also the appropriateness to the age of a child.
Thanks, Doc. I think it starts with the parent involving the child in setting of these rules and the consequences. Because then if you do that, when the rule is broken, you don't even have to say what is going to be the consequence. So they know already. So you will find that the child will be telling, okay, I'm not going to be watching TV, for today, for tomorrow. You understand? Because that was the agreement of the whole family, that if you don't do A, B is going to be the consequence. So you don't get much resistance once you involve them in making the rules, and then they sort of manage themselves. The children, they manage themselves because they know. So, but what is important is that whatever rules that you have, they must be age appropriate, as you are saying.
Yes.
You will not be talking about toys to an adolescent, and the timing of the consequences to breaking the rules will also be something that is discussed, you understand, amongst the members of that family. So it is an agreement. So if it is an agreement, there is not going to be much resentment. Yes. Because it was an agreement prior. Everyone signed for these rules. If it means that you print them out and let everyone sign because it is the contract of this household, then so be it. You are not going to get much resistance. Of course, it's going to be different when we're talking about teenagers, because then it's a change of scenery when we talk about adolescents and how you handle them. But generally, that is how it should be.
Thanks. I wanted just that clarity. Thank you. Go ahead. Okay. So,
okay. There are a few tips that I want to give before I continue on the issue of discipline. It is very important for parents to be consistent. Yes. I cannot emphasize that more. Consistency. If you say that if you break this rule, this is going to be the consequence, it must be the consequence. If you turn around and you don't do that, a child is going to see that you don't keep to, you understand, to the rules, you understand, and your part of how you should be handling the discipline issue, and they are going to continue misbehaving, which means there won't be a point of you having those rules in the first place, because you are defeating the intention of you having the rules for the children. Wow. So consistency. Yes. Don't come back and have now so much love that you feel it will be unfair for that child to miss that program that they love, because they are going to continue. You must always, as a parent, remember that what the reason for you to have this rule, there was a reason. So if you are not going to take it through, it's going to be a problem. It's going to mean that you are nullifying, in fact, all the rules. And it's going to mean that the child is going to grow without boundaries and without knowing what is right and what is wrong. Because we must always remember that children listen less, but they watch what you do. They need that consistency. If you are not consistent, they are going to see. And they are going to be manipulative, and they are going to take a chance because they can see that you are a parent who cannot stand their ground. Another thing, when it comes to discipline, is it is important for parents to deal with the situation and not the child. Don't attack the personality, attack the behavior.
Wow.
So whilst disciplining the child, no labeling. It is very important because the labeling has very adverse consequences for the child and the self-esteem of a child.
Wow.
You don't say to a child, you are stupid. You are slow. You have a big head. You know, some of us, we grew up in an era where it was common and normal to be labeled.
Yes.
And if you have a big head, you will be called with that big head. You know, and in a bad way. So we have to stop doing that to our children, because children of today, I will say, I don't think they are not the same as us.
Yes.
We went through all of that, and we managed to pull through. We, even though our self-esteem might have been broken somewhere, but as adults and as growing up, we managed to build, you know, what was broken, so that we are complete individuals in the end, and complete adults. But with children of today, it is important that we do not do the things that were done to us that we know that we never liked them in the first place. So you don't tell a child that they are stupid, because they are going to internalize that. If you tell a person every day that they are stupid, they are going to internalize that, and they are going to believe it.
Yes.
And they will end up being stupid. Yes. Because the mind is very powerful. Now, if you continually tell your child all the positive things, the child is going to believe. If you tell your child that you are beautiful, and you tell them consistently, they are going to believe that. And they are going to be raised to be an adult that can say no. Peer pressure will not have a space in that child, because that child has got the foundation. They know who they are, and they believe in themselves. In this time of social media that can destroy a person, it can destroy an adult. How much more to a child? We know about cyberbullying and all of those things. Now, if you have a child that does not have a strong sense of self, that child will be at risk, will be more vulnerable to be bullied in cyber. And you will end up having children that commit suicide and all of that. So this parenting of nowadays is parenting that needs us to be on our toes, literally, every day. And we have to keep on looking for better ways to be better parents. And try and unlearn all the things that were said to us for many years when we were growing up. Unlearn them. Unlearn all the things that were done to us when we were growing up. Unlearn them. Now, being intentional means that you as the parent will know that I need to get more information on this. Capacitate yourself. Empower yourself. You cannot buy a smartphone that you do not know how to operate as a parent, and you buy it for a child. You cannot buy a smartphone that you do not know the apps that are in that smartphone. You need to know the apps that are in that phone. You need to know how to have parental control in all the apps, which sites you need to block, and all of that. Now, if you are not intentional with your parenting, you are just going to buy an expensive phone, an iPhone, for your child, because you want your child to have all the things that you never had when you were growing up. That's what we usually say. I don't want my child to live. I don't want my child to live the life that I lived. I did not have all the things that I wanted when I was growing up. So I'm going to make up for that. But in the process, we overindulge our children. So if you can afford an iPhone, it's well and good, but you need to think, what is an 8-year-old going to do with an iPhone? You understand? Is there a need for an iPhone? The phone that you are buying.
Yes.
The phone that you are buying, the phone that you are buying for this child, is it appropriate for the child's needs at that time? Because and what are the reasons why you are buying the phone? Is it to communicate when there's an emergency at school? Is it for the child to be able to do research for their studies? So those are the things that you need to think as a parent before you do them.
I love it.
Think about them. Don't just because you can afford. You cannot give a child everything that is in the shops that you don't even know how to use, because those children will be exposed to content that is in the space, in the cyberspace, that they are not supposed to be exposed. And you are going to have a child that is bullied in the internet and you are not even aware. You will only see things late when a child is committing suicide, or misbehaving at home, stealing money. When you give your child pocket money, you need to be intentional about that pocket money that you are giving. What is it for? When you are giving a child 200 rand daily, what do you want them to do with the 200 rand daily? Are you not
to something else, though? I think also growing up, not all of us were taught banking. Now you're mentioning $200, 200 rands. We have drugs today. So now I'm kind of thinking a child that is raised permissive and has this access to this money, and like you said, kids start stealing, or even honestly, the money most of the times it's used on drugs. Maybe this is also time for us parents to also start learning things that probably we were not exposed to. Start banking as an age appropriate act. Your child would be excited. I know that my son gets excited when I give him his bank card to start understanding the banking and also understanding the savings. I like that. Thank you so much for mentioning that money part, because it's true. We didn't grow up with so much access. It's easy for us to give and give and give to our children.
Exactly, Doc. Another thing is that it would be nicer if parents would also practice not just giving money and teaching children to be responsible, and having a job description for your child at home, a job for the chores, have it written down and have a compensation for that. Let the pocket money come in as compensation for work that has been done around in the household. Of course, it has to be age appropriate again, but it would be nicer if a child knows that if they make their bed and they take out the rubbish bin every day, if it's taken out every day or once a week, whatever. But children need to have structure and they need to learn to work for money, because you do not get money, in a tree. We don't have trees that grow money.
No.
They need to learn. And it will also help in reducing the sense of entitlement to that money. Yes. And when we raise children, we need to raise children not for ourselves, but to raise children for when we are not there. Yes. Raise a child that can be raised by another parent. When God forbid you are deceased, because our tomorrow is not guaranteed. We don't know. So if you raise a small child, no one is going to want to stay with that child.
Wow.
That's if you powerful. Are raising a small child, they will end up in what people call an orphanage. We call it here a child and youth care centers. and they might be in different foster homes, moving from one home to another, because no one can cope, with taking care of this child. So while parenting, we need to be aware that we are raising this child. In the event that you are not there, you need to make sure that there's continuity. Another person will be able to continue and where you stopped, and they will have pleasure raising your child. Because we need to think about these things, because we don't know, you never know. But I just want to quickly move on to something that I think is very important to explain when it comes to parenting. Parenting, Dr. Unathi, does not begin when the child is there, is there, when you have given birth. Parenting starts prenatal. It starts with the planning. I think that is very important.
Yes.
The two prospective parents are supposed to sit and plan about starting a family. If people are going to have a child, they are supposed to sit first and discuss that they want a child. Now, there are a few things that they need to look at when in that discussion. They need to look at the child and their readiness to bring a child to this world. For the woman, it has to be the physical readiness, the body. Is the body ready to go through the pregnancy? Yes. What illnesses am I having as a woman? Wow. Is my physique going to take it? Will it be possible for me to carry that child? Another thing is to look at the finances. Yes. Will I be able to provide for this child? So this is a discussion that is between the two people. That is very important. A child is not made by one person. It's always by two people. So this discussion, it is not supposed to be one-sided. So the ladies that have a tendency of catching, of trapping men into being fathers, they need to stop doing that, because it is not fair. When you want a child, whether you are male or female, you are supposed to be informed and you need to consent to the act of having a child. Now, you look at the physique, you look at the finances, you look at other physical, at the environment. Yes. Do you have a house that you are going to raise this child in? Or are you living in a one room? I am not saying a person who is living in a one room is not supposed to have a child, but they need to be aware of their circumstances and the challenges it might pose. If you are living in a one room, there are going to be challenges with parenting in a one room. If you are a couple in a one room, it's going to be a challenge to having your conjugal rights when you have a child, a 4-year-old that is in the same room. So those are the issues that you need to discuss prior, so that you agree as partners.
Love it.
That you are going to have this child, and how are you going to manage your other life when the child is there and as the child grows? And how long are you planning to stay in this one room? When might you move to a bigger place?
Yes, because like you said,
yes,
last week you said something important about our children need to be exposed to certain discussions and not to be exposed to certain discussions. And truly, when you're in a one-bedroom place, how are you having your adult conversations? Because we've seen children, last week you said something important. You find a child, even a teenager, speaking like an adult. There's children that when you listen to them, this child, it's like you hear, this is an adult speaking. These are the kids that are exposed to adult conversations that were not supposed to be done in front of them. So that's very important. Now, to be quite blunt to what Zoe is talking about, how are you going to have your intimacy? in front of your child, because children, they start acting inappropriately towards their friends. We've seen this. And then we start suspecting that a child is sexually abused. And sometimes she or he is not abused, but it's what she or he sees at home. Thanks, so for mentioning that.
Okay, Doc. This takes us to a point where we are saying that if you are living in a one room for reasons that sometimes are beyond our control, you need to be intentional then in your parenting and have a support system.
Yes.
You need to link your child with the different networks in the community. It is very important for parents to develop that network and communication so that there's a camaraderie, that will help the child.
Yes.
And growing up, the child will also know that there are these honorary aunts and uncles, that are everywhere. So that you know that when you need to satisfy your own needs and intimacy, there's an aunt who's going to come in and look for the children, who's going to take the children for a weekend or for a day. Yeah. So that is what is needed. That is intentional parenting, so that you don't just do things for the sake of doing them, but you have a plan, irrespective of the circumstances that you are in, but you need to have a plan of how the child is raised. Now, when you conceive, as a woman, you need to go for antenatal classes. You need to take care of yourself. Make sure that you stay away from substances. We know the effects of alcohol and drugs on a fetus. They are not good. So it's part of parenting. Taking care of yourself when you are pregnant is part of parenting.
Love it.
Taking care of yourself and with the assistance of the father. Now, it's very nice if this child has been planned, because then it's easy to bring in the father, to make sure that the father is there throughout the pregnancy, to assist the mother throughout the pregnancy, because some pregnancies can be challenging. Yes. Even if they are not challenging, there are a whole lot of issues that surround a pregnancy that need a second person who is going to understand, because they are in this with you. So it's easier if the child has been planned. And we have fathers that start getting involved from as early as the planning and during pregnancy and childbirth, and then continue when the child is an infant. So parenting starts prenatal and moves, it progresses right through life stages of a child until a child becomes an adult.
Yes.
I thought it is very important to highlight that. Now, throughout the stages, it is important for parents to know the developmental stages of children. Yes. The importance of parents knowing the developmental stages, the developmental milestones of children, is that they know what to expect, so that they don't blow when a child is doing something that is expected to be done in that age. So if they are aware, part of being intentional, be aware of the milestone, so that when a child is doing things, you understand that this is part of the milestone and you know how to deal with it. When a child is throwing tantrums, you need to know at what stage is a child expected to throw tantrums, and at what stage is a child not expected to be throwing tantrums anymore because of their age. So it also means that you then manage to be close to your child. Yes. You know the needs of your child. If you are aware of the developmental milestones and the expectations of those milestones, then you are in a position to know the needs of the child at a certain point, and in every stage you will know. Then you can say, when the child is not talking, then you can start saying, maybe there's a problem. You can start consulting. when a child cannot play with other children, then you know there might be a challenge here. So let me go and consult, because most of the behavioral problems that children present can be dealt with from a young age, especially the disorders. If they are caught at the age of 4, it's always better and easier, because it makes it easier for the parent to learn how to manage the behaviors, for the child to be taught a different way of behaving that are more appropriate, and maybe get also medication that might also assist in pushing, whatever that is happening with the child.
Oh my God.
We are talking intentional parenting.
Thank you so much, Zoe. I want to continue, and I have so many comments on the side. Can we take the comments, Zoe? Because to be honest, I want to keep going.
Let's take them.
Noxolo says, Kabanisa Mzileni. Oh, she's basically tagging friends, Thuli, Masiko, Nomalungelo, Sbongile, Ngazonke, come watch. I'm pretty sure that's what she meant. And she also tagged Kakamba. Chiagozi says, Black Lives Matters. What is black? Are you black? Africans are not black. It's better we change this, our mentality. That is a comment that we can talk about when we talk more about the mental health issues. Nokalo says, yes, so children must be involved from setting up the rules and must be taught that rights, choices go together with the consequences. Thank you so much, Nokolo. And Zoe said it plainly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Nokolo says, consistency is indeed a great deal. Thank you, Nokolo. Zoe mentioned it beautifully. If we're going to do this today, tomorrow, we're doing something else, our children will not take us seriously. So we sometimes fall into this a lot of times as parents. Nokolo says, hey, Zoli, I have a 10-year-old baby boy, but trust me, I'm still not psychologically ready or fit for all this parenting thing. She's being honest, right? Parenting is tough, Nokolo. Thank you so much, sis, for being vulnerable. And Nomalungelo, she's just applauding you. So I know that we have so much to say and the time is against us. What take home do you want us to take home? What these parents should take home? Zoe?
You are breaking.
Okay,
what
I'm
saying.
Yes, I'm saying, because the time is against us, I would love to still have you here, but what take home do you want us to take to improve our parenting?
The take home is being intentional. I cannot stop emphasizing being intentional. We need to stop as parents thinking that children are just going to grow. We need to know that children learn, and they learn from adults. So we need to be role models. We need to be good examples, because children watch what we do all the time, and they listen to 5%, they hear 5% of what we say. So it means that we need to do more and model more for our children to be better. But the basic is being intentional. Look for information, empower yourself with parenting and what to expect and how to react in all these things. You cannot do it alone. You cannot do it. It does not mean that you are a failure, but you need to know, you need to acknowledge the fact that parenting is a challenge for the most of us. I am not sure if there is one parent who will say, I am the best parent ever.
No.
Because it is challenging. It can bring out the worst in you as much as it can bring you the best in you.
Yes.
So as we navigate the streets of parenting, let us be intentional and be empowered. Let us know that there are those out there and other people that can help us and educate us and empower us with the skills that we need to impart on our children. Social skills are very important. So let us impart those so that we have children that can establish relationships and that can sustain those relationships, so that we don't have these adults that have got issues.
You said it all, sis. Mouthful. Thank you so much, Zoe. And I would like to take your telephone number because I know that you do private sessions with clients. Can I get your telephone number? I know I have it on my phone.
083
083
346
346
1907.
1907. Thank you so much, Zoe. In summary, we all heard what Ms. Zoe had to say to us, and this is not even to make us guilty. Parenting is hard. It is. That's why it doesn't even come with certification, because indeed it's a learning, it's a journey. Don't beat yourself. Find that community of uncles, of aunts that have principles and values you share, and keep doing it. It's consistency, like Zoe is saying. Don't beat yourself. Don't beat your child when he or she is not getting it right, because this is a learning process. Thank you so much, Zoe, for coming here, and we're gonna bring you back. I have so much to bring you here for. And our viewers at home, please stay with us next week, same time. Thank you so much. Enjoy your week. Thanks,
It's a
Zoe.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.